welcome back. It is time to continue our bowl previews. We got 9 games we're going to rock in this one, ending with the quarterfinals on New Year's Day. But we're going to start today. We've got the TransPerfect Music City Bowl. We have Iowa and Missouri. Missouri 68th in the nation in points per game while sitting 60th in yards per game. They're 50th in the run. They're 81st or 82nd in the pass. Brady Cooks led the way for this offense, completing 183 of 289 passes for 2,248 yards and 9 touchdowns. He has the 9 touchdowns with 2 interceptions. He's been sacked 20 times, but also run for 169 yards and 5 scores. The weakest unit on the field in this game is the Iowa passing game, which is fine for Iowa considering the stronger unit for Missouri is them being against the pass than the rush. Both offensive units are missing major parts. Missouri's going to be without their big play threat in Luther Burden. Caleb Johnson's out for Iowa. Still, Luther Burden was the big play threat, but he was not the focus of the offense. Caleb Johnson been almost the entire offense for Iowa. Iowa does have the better defense, but they just might not be able to score. Missouri might struggle to score, but should score enough. If they can get a turnover or two in this game, they're going to win with ease. Missouri, -2, -110 on Fanatics. I would play that down to -3. We got the ReliaQuest Bowl between Alabama and Michigan on Tuesday. Alabama's 10th in the nation in opponent points per game. They're 34th in opponent yards per game, 56th against the rush, 31st against the pass. Jahad Campbell, 108 tackles, most on the team, 5 sacks, 2 pass breakups, an interception, 2 forced fumbles, and a fumble recovery. Michigan is 19th in the nation in opponent points per game. They're 11th in opponents' yards per game, 3rd against the run, but they're 61st against the pass. Josiah Stewart, 7th on the team in tackles, 8.5 sacks, 2 forced fumbles. Michigan was not very good this year. The offense has not found a way to move the ball, and they've won games based on defense. The problem is, Alabama's the better defense in this one. Michigan did beat Alabama in the Rose Bowl last year, but do not expect that result again. Michigan's going to struggle to score. Take the loss. We're going to take Alabama, -12.5, -112 on Valley Bet. I'd play that down to -14. Moving to the Tony the Tiger Sun Bowl with Louisville and Washington. Louisville 13th in the nation in points per game, while sitting 14th in yards per game, 45th in the run, 15th in the pass. But Tyler Shuck is out for this one. There's going to be pressure on Isaac Brown. He ran for 1,074 yards, 11 touchdowns. He also had a receiving touchdown this year. Washington's 55th in the nation in opponent points per game, 25th in opponent yards per game. It's Carson Bruner who leads the team in tackles, 5 pass breakups, 3 interceptions, and a forced fumble. This game really comes out to how much you value Tyler Shuck, the Louisville quarterback. Washington has the much better defense, but there's a bigger gap between the Louisville offense and the Washington offense. If Louisville can be close to the same production they had them with Shuck, they're going to dominate this game. Still, Louisville's the better team. I take them in this one. I have Louisville -2, -110 on Fanatics. I'd play that down to -3. We move on to the Cheez-It Citrus Bowl, South Carolina and Illinois. South Carolina 49th in the nation in points per game, 54th in yards per game, and they're 34th in the run and 86th in the pass. Lenore Sellers, awesome this year, completing 64.9% of his passes for 2,274 yards and 17 touchdowns while throwing 7 interceptions. He's also run for 655 yards and 7 scores. Illinois, 49th of the nation in opponent points per game, while sitting 74th in opponent yards per game. They're 76th against the run. They're 73rd against the pass. While Gabe Jacobs has been great, he's second on the team in tackles, having 8 sacks, 3 forced fumbles, and a fumble recovery. South Carolina comes in as one of the hottest teams in the nation. They won 6 straight. They're missing their top defensive player, but the defense is still solid. They also dominate inside the 40-yard line on defense. Further, these two teams have very similar quarterbacks. Both are big playmakers. Both can move around to get players open. Still, the North Seller is much better at that. We're going to take South Carolina. South Carolina, -9.5, -112 on Valley Bet. I'd play that down to -12. Moving to the Kinder's Texas Bowl. We got Baylor and LSU. LSU, 53rd in the nation in points per game, 20th in yards per game. They are 6th in the pass, and that is because Garrett Nussmeier. He's completed 63.7% of his passes for 3,739 yards and 26 touchdowns. He has been picked off 11 times, but he also has 3 running touchdowns. Baylor's 76th in the nation in opponent points per game, while sitting 86th in opponent yards per game. They're 80th against the run, 97th against the pass. Matt Jones has been solid on defense. He has 4 sacks, 6 pass breakups, and a forced fumble. But this is going to be an LSU game. They opened as the favorite. There was a bunch of opt-outs on the offensive line, so it moved to Baylor being favored. Still, even with so much missing for LSU, they're the better team. They have the better offense. They have the better quarterback. We're going to take LSU plus 3.5 minus 105 on Caesars. We got the Verbo Fiesta Bowl with Penn State and Boise State. Both the teams have played Fiesta Bowls before. Neither of them has lost a Fiesta Bowl. Penn State's defense has been great. They're fifth in the nation in opponent points per game. They're fourth in opponent yards per game, seventh against the run, 11th against the pass, and it's Abdul Carter. He is fourth on the team in tackles this year, having 11 sacks, 3 pass breakups, and 2 forced fumbles. Still, Boise State's fourth in the nation in points per game. They're seventh in yards. They're sixth in the run because of Ashton Jeanty. Jeanty comes in with 344 carries for 2,497 yards and 29 touchdowns. That is good for 7.3 yards per carry, while he scored an average of 2.23 touchdowns per game on the ground this year. Jeanty also has 116 receiving yards and a receiving touchdown. Transitive properties suggest Boise State's going to win this game. Boise State has just one loss this year. That was to Oregon by 3. Meanwhile, Penn State lost to Oregon by 12 in the Big Ten title game. Still, Boise State lost that game in week 2. Oregon's been much better since. The Boise State offense has been great this year, sitting fourth in the nation points per game. They should be able to keep it close because of their ground game. I'm going to take Boise State plus 11.5, minus 105 on ProfitX, and I'd play that down to plus 10. We move to the Chick-fil-A Peach Bowl with Texas and Arizona State. Texas, second in the nation in opponent points per game this year. They have just been great on offense overall. They're ninth in the run and second in the pass. Jedi Barron has been great this year overall on defense. He has 11 pass breakups, a sack, and 5 interceptions. The defense has been wonderful for Texas this year. Arizona State, 26th in the nation in points per game. They're 31st in the nation in yards per game. They're 18th in the run. That's because of Cam Scatterbo. He's run for 1,568 yards and 19 touchdowns. He also has 506 yards receiving and 3 scores. Texas has more talent. They have 2 quarterbacks who are better than the one for Arizona State. Further, they're better at almost every skill position. The one big difference, though, is Cam Scatterbo. Arizona State is great at controlling the game with Cam. Texas is fine at playing close games. They played 4 games in the last 7 within 10 points. Texas is going to win, but it's going to be close. Arizona State plus 12.5, minus 107. We got the Rose Bowl, the granddaddy of them all, between Ohio State and Oregon. Ohio State is first in the nation in opponent points per game, first in opponent yards per game. They're 8th against the run, first against the pass. Denzel Burke has 2 pass breakups this year, 2 interceptions. Oregon, 6th in the nation in points per game, 12th in yards per game. They're led by Dylan Gabriel. Dylan Gabriel's been great, but really, this is going to be about the ground game for Oregon, though. Because of the pass defense for Ohio State, Jordan James is going to be the difference maker. 1,253 yards rushing, 15 touchdowns. This might be a matchup between the 2 best teams in the nation, but it's hard to ignore the previous matchup. This is at a neutral site, which was not the case in the first one. Talent-wise, Ohio State's the better team. Oregon has the better quarterback. This is going to be a tight one. Give me the Ducks. Oregon, money line, plus 115 MGM. And we finish up with the All-State Sugar Bowl between Notre Dame and Georgia. Notre Dame is 3rd in the nation in opponent points per game while sitting 6th in opponent yards per game. They are 35th against the run, 3rd against the pass. Xavier Watts is 2nd on the team in tackles, has 8 pass breakups, 6 interceptions, a forced fumble, a fumble recovery, and a touchdown. Georgia, 31st in the nation in points per game, 45th in yards per game. They're 96th in the run and 12th in the pass. Problem is Carson Beck's out. So this is going to be Gunnar Stockton's game. 25 of 32 passing this year for 206 yards and an interception. This game could still have a ton of potential, but with Beck out, there's going to be a damper. Still, Notre Dame doesn't have a high-powered offense. If Georgia can keep Riley Leonard and the run game contained, they have a shot in this one. Still, Georgia's offense struggled at times this year, even with Carson Beck. Now they have to rely on Gunnar Stockton against one of the best defenses in the nation. That will be the difference. Notre Dame money line, plus 105 MGM. Let's recap. We have Missouri minus 2, Alabama minus 12.5, Louisville minus 2, South Carolina minus 9.5, LSU plus 3.5, Boise State plus 11.5, Arizona State plus 12.5, Oregon money line, and Notre Dame money line. If you like this content, make sure to hit the like button, subscribe, share it with your friends. We'll see you next time for some bowl picks.